That was so much better. Atta boy. Okay. Now, yes, no, my involvement in agriculture is that's a long story, but it's okay. We don't have time for that today.
Yeah.
We have dirt and people to help.
100%. Let's do that.
So, guys, welcome to the WTF podcast, Way to Farm podcast. And we have Maverick here. Johnny Maverick Ferentz.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
So, we've had Johnny on the podcast before, and you were one of the main speakers at our field day. We had the drone demo, and Johnny helps us so much with basically everything, like breathing function, like right up there. Anyway, so we're just gonna, Johnny, do you have any words of wisdom for the people to start out?
Hopefully the podcast handles that. We'll just talk and good things will come out.
Dude, it's gonna be epic.
Yeah.
We got a rock from Travis. This is my asteroid rock.
Okay.
That's an asteroid or a meteor that hit a rock on a corner section my grandpa was putting a corner post in. Anyway, it's okay. So Heathman and I did a podcast a couple days ago. Yeah. Anyway, and Heathman's a rock guy.
Okay.
Dude.
Okay.
Like the dude just, you want to literally like fracture the crust of Heathman's heart. I'm kidding. It's not. He's a big softy. If you want to like direct line to his love language, bring him a rock.
That's good to know. I can probably do that.
Dude, I'm telling you, he just gets so happy about a rock. Anyway, so people remember that. If you want to make Heathman happy, bring him a rock.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so that's an asteroid. There's still pieces up there, and he told me that his grandpa, Easter Heathman, said that, so we've got up in these hills, we've got buffalo wallows. They're still there. They're big dished out areas on these hilltops. It's wherever an asteroid hit is where, or a meteor hit is where the buffaloes would wallow. And he spent years looking for asteroids in the pastures. And true, I don't know, but I'd never thought of that. And now I'm sitting here thinking, I pondered that a lot now. Like, why? Is there truth behind that? If there isn't, okay, but I don't know. Are they going for... I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe they needed the minerals.
That's what I thought. I mean? That's what I thought. Anyway, I don't know if you're... So, the younger Dryas impact theory is just fascinating to me in the history of the world. But it's because of the younger Dryas impact theory and rocks and breaking down of rocks and things like that we now have soil tests.
100%. That was a great transition. Wow,
it's just
man.
the history of agriculture.
There you go.
Anyway, so I got questions. I got a pile of questions that came in. I sent some to Johnny, and I'm just going to blindside Johnny with the rest. So Johnny, give a little backstory onto your history with agriculture. And because, I mean, we met, I just say it's a God thing. And we pretty much, we didn't meet at a bar, but we almost met at a bar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, kind of.
And so tell me a little backstory, just because some of the viewing audience in the podcast is not, wasn't at field day or what's on. So give us a little backstory on your history in agriculture.
Okay, 110% there. So born and raised in central Nebraska in a town called Ord. Blessed with a father that was very passionate about agriculture, and he's still the ag teacher. Been teaching in Ord for, I think it's 33 years now.
Wow.
So strong influence of education, strong influence of agriculture, and just always trying to do what's right. That's one thing both my parents instilled in me. Mm-hmm. So fast forward, heavily involved with FFA, that world. Went to the University of Nebraska, got my ag ed degree with a minor in agronomy and a minor in animal science, just because when I was...
So you like cows?
I don't know if... I enjoy cows.
Cooked?
But I would... preferably.
Thank you.
Yeah, medium rare. Yeah. But then, so did that, went to the university, came back to Ord, and got my degree in ag ed. So I was an ag teacher with my dad for 5 years, which, looking back, that was such a great blessing. And part of the reason why was, so I was teaching animal science, I was teaching food science, I was teaching soil science and plant science, and started to just make connections.
Yeah.
You talk about nutrition, like nutrient deficiency in humans, and what's been some common themes there. Well, it turns out that maybe our soils aren't releasing it. Well, if that means our plants don't have it, which then we feed our animals with, and it's just a cycle, right?
You're telling me it's a chain.
It's crazy. It's
we
crazy.
were meant to eat plants and animals that eat plants that is grown by dirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was caused by the asteroids. Thank you, Kirk.
Yes.
Kirk's from California, so question everything.
But yeah, so saw these connections.
Just caused by the asteroids. Thank you.
Yeah. So found these connections, was teaching. Then, of course, COVID happened, right? And us as teachers, I mean, we were still teaching, don't get me wrong, but then you're just sitting around. I think everybody could relate to that.
Yeah.
And, of course, I got to move 100 miles an hour, so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to start reading. And just pulled up a bunch of books, started reading, finding even more connections. And while this time I was a ag teacher, I was also an agronomist during the summer. Now, my acres were really low. It was just enough for me to get my boots dirty, and help people out. But then after COVID happened, all my research, diving into stuff, figuring out stuff, started my own agronomy business and helping growers, trying to get a better return on their investment, try to make them more efficient. Then fast forward to last year about this time, I see this guy on a podcast that's holding, what is it, a turnip?
Yeah. Tillage radish.
Tillage radish.
It is massive.
Yeah, a massive tillage radish. And I was
Yes.
like, oh, that way to farm, WTF. I thought that was very humorous. I was like,
you.
yeah, I'll take a listen here, because I was actually going to soil sample from Colorado to pretty much Omaha. There was a company I was working for that they wanted all those soil samples. So I was like, well, I got time here. So cranked on the first podcast, drove for 8 hours and just kept listening and getting caught up on your podcast. And then I called.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, listen to all your podcasts. I like what you're doing. Just get in touch. And
Yeah.
I guess the rest is we meet in Omaha and close to a bar. And not exactly a bar, but close to a bar.
Close to a bar?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, yeah.
And
just
here we
started
are
working.
today.
Yeah. Oh, in the middle of all this, I got some spray drones. Do some spray drone applications. Definitely know I'm an early adopter. That's just part of my DNA.
Johnny is a flight guy.
Yeah. I already said I need to get a helicopter.
He's going to fly my helicopter.
Yeah.
If I ever get a helicopter.
So don't make sure my wife doesn't see this, because we're still trying to get that through. So
Okay.
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Notate. Right. Thank you.
Yeah. So that's a little bit
Johnny.
about me. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And wife or family still in Ord.
Yeah.
Cranking that through agriculture.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then heavily involved in Singular. And anyway, we're just on the same mission of trying to help farmers, which kind of dives us right into this. So I call him Woodrow Wilson, Woody for short, also known as Eric. He sent us a customers, I believe it's customers, but I know it's customers, soil test. And anyway, and the customer said, hang on, bear with me just a second here. His customer said, this field's located in blankety blank 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 blank. The field has shown performance in raising 100 bushel Milo and grows 40 bushel wheat. Has extremely productive bottoms and moderately productive hillsides that have the ability to raise something good and not bring the average down too far. We all have ground like that. I say that because I have fields immediately pop into my mind of, man, it's a great field, and then you go cut that one area, and you watch your yield monitor, your field average just tank, and you're like, gosh, dang it. Anyway, the issue he's trying to alleviate is the little zones that are calling for a metric lot load of lime.
Asterisk.
Yes, asterisk, preface with an F.
Yeah.
as in it's calling for an entire semi-load of lime on 4 acres. In the test results, to see the pattern of low crop production on parts of the field that shouldn't have any issues raising something. And it follows the high concentrations of hydrogen. Is that over or under 15%? Over.
Oh, over.
More than
I 15.
I hate the sideways V's. It was bad in school. Anyway, greater than, less than. It was always like fish mouth eats this, and then You're a fun fact. Johnny's the teacher. I was a student in school the teachers abhorred. Is that the right word?
Close enough.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did not do well in school just because I was the kid that was like, I don't know, I wanted to be out doing something, building something. Geometry was a breeze for me. A breeze. I could build it. I could see it. I could angle it, square. Yep. Algebra, failed it miserably year after year after year. And I won't tell the ending of that story until some other time. But I graduated. And here we are. So this little square in the top left hand of the corner had very stunted wheat with little to no grain in the heads this year when the rest of the field was making 50 to 60 and the bottoms were making 80. Is this an issue of just needing to knock that hydrogen off and colloid with humic, or is this simply one of the situations where we just where we just follow the recommendation and use the lime to raise the pH even though the pH isn't that low, 5.6 to 6.2? Sincerely, blank, blank.
So, I mean...
So we printed it off.
Yeah.
Gave it to Johnny. Yep. We've got the sheet here. Anyway, yeah, I mean, his average pH is
I'd say
7.5.
Yeah, that's at mid-sevens.
Yep. Buffer pH is a 7. Average organic matter is a 1.6. His average P2, Bray 2.
Yep. Bray 2
is 72 parts per million. His potassium is an average of 483. Average calcium is 3,500. Average mags 268. CEC of 21. Calcium, base saturation calcium, average of 80. That's high calcium.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of cal.
Percent potassium is 5.7, 10.3% mag. Average hydrogen is 2.9. The highest spot is 28.5, and the minimum is 0. So, Johnny, just looking at this, we haven't walked it, obviously.
Yeah, 100%.
But he's tried to give us an overview of what he's seeing, the field. What are some immediate issues that you have seen? I assume that area, the purple, is the good ground.
Yeah, no, it's...
And you got the poorer ground off to the north.
Yeah, well, you even talked about, what the average of the field was. Now, one thing we got to realize is the issues that he's having, I would say our pH average is around probably a high 5.
Okay. In the problem
in the problem area.
Yeah.
Okay. And then also... base sat there, I would say your average is around higher 50s for calcium. You're looking at your potassium being like a 7, and then you're looking at your magnesium of above, I would say 17, maybe even 18 as an average in that bad area.
Okay.
So the first thing, he's telling me symptoms already. So I'm thinking in my head, what possible nutrients are causing that issue?
Empty heads.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're talking that plant didn't have energy. That plant wasn't converting sunlight into sugar very well. Okay, so that strictly tells me right away, for that process to happen, nitrogen, magnesium, iron. Manganese is part of that process. There's a lot of elements part of that process, but between nitrogen, magnesium, and iron, that's where I just start. Because those are the big three when it comes to sugar
The ones we can really move the needle with.
Well, and it's just, you pull one of those out, the plant's just not going to be able to produce sugar. Okay. You start with mag. Mag is the center of the chlorophyll molecule. Okay. So if you do not have mag, or mag's not available per se,
right,
it's going to be yellow and stunted.
Okay.
Same thing with iron chlorosis. A deficiency in iron, stunted plant, yellow. Of course, we've all seen what nitrogen does if you have a little bit less than what you needed.
Yeah.
So I look at this field. I know it's not iron, number one, because of the numbers. But number two, I mean, if our pHs are below or in the 5s or in the 6s, more times than not, iron is going to be available.
Okay.
So now if you would have flipped this and said my high pH areas was doing the same thing, then I would say you're having iron problems.
Got it.
And that would be a simple fix. Add some humic acid, add some humates. On higher pH soil, I would focus on more of ammonium form because that'll help drop it. But one thing to know about higher pH,
so like an AMS?
AMS would help.
AMS would help
Yes.
on the nitrogen side.
On the nitrogen side.
Got it.
Yep.
Because ammonium...
Sorry. And NH4 instead of a nitrate. So if you
expound on the nitrogen part just a little bit. So high pH and moving to a different nitrogen source, say for wheat. Why? And talk about why one over another.
Okay. So if I see high pHs, okay, I'm talking anything above a 7.5. So putting in positive forms of nitrogen, so NH4, urea, is going to help bring down the pH.
Okay.
Because when it converts into the soil, it's releasing hydrogen. And that's what pH is parts hydrogen. So you're releasing more, you're increasing your hydrogen parts, which means lower pH. Okay. Now, on the vice versa, if you had like a 5.5 soil, you have hydrogen. That is not an issue.
Okay.
So you can utilize nitrate to help make it more alkaline.
Okay.
Now, with that being said, there's a lot more factors. If you're strictly just worried about pH with your crop, that's how you would do it. Does that help?
Yeah.
Does that break it down in a little bit?
So if a guy has a 7.5 to 8 pH range, the nitrogen form, and he's raising wheat, the nitrogen form he should go to is ammonium nitrate, if at all possible. Not UA, not urea.
Well, you could do urea as a positive form as well, and you're actually gaining a carbon molecule with that. With urea.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there any? So I guess tell me, what's the one to steer? Is there any to steer clear of in high pH soils? Forms of nitrogen.
So I get to the point of a plant needs a variety of nitrogen to function properly.
Okay.
We also got to remember that Mother Nature knows how to do that too.
Yeah.
100%. So if you're applying, which is say 100%
My
positive,
wheat taught us that.
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So I get to the point here, like, we can't just draw a line saying we're not going to use nitrate.
Sure.
Okay. But I'm saying if we're using a lot of nitrate, let's tone that down, let's say 50% less nitrate and use the ammonium form to help with that process. Because we got to remember the rhizosphere of these plants can change that pH. Is it 2 points?
You're talking? Okay.
Okay, sorry.
Rectify this.
It's 2 points.
No. Hang on. The rhizosphere around the roots.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything going on around the roots.
Okay.
And like in my neck of the woods, I've seen it drop 3 points just because we're dealing with lighter soil.
So like from an 8 to a 5 is possible?
I have seen it go from like a legit 7.5 to a legit 5.5, if not lower. Just on what's going on in the rhizosphere.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
But you got to remember.
That almost makes me want to cry.
Well, it tells.
I don't know why. I had no, I don't even know why. I'm like tearing up right now. It's like all of these things that we just had no clue on.
Oh, yeah.
Why are we not told this?
Well,
hang on. That's conspiracy, and we don't want to put certain individual freaking out on us.
Yes. But going, and I know we're kind of veering here, but
absolutely, it's okay.
Okay, good. But Mother Nature does a darn good job.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is there things that we can do to help supplement? 100%, and that would be in a high pH situation. Tone down on the nitrate, use more ammonium in that situation. Are you moving the needle? Very little compared to Mother Nature, but you're helping.
Sure.
Now, switch gears, go to low pH.
Yes.
Okay, the problem at hand here.
Yep.
So the first thing I look at now, if you go to your base saturations, you go to the Kinseys, talk about what they want to see, Albrecht system. You want at least, 65 to 70 base sat calcium, 2 to 5% potassium, and then around 12 for magnesium in your heavier soils.
Okay.
If you get to very light soils, your mag can go up because mag tightens the soil.
Okay.
So with like a CEC of 9 and below, if I see mag levels creep above 15, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But once it hits 20, I'm saying we got to get something solved here. Now, one thing with when you have that low of CEC, it's usually hard to create a mag problem.
Okay.
But so I look at here, we have our pHs. We got a 6.2, 5.8, 5.6, and first thing was we're raising wheat here. We're raising Milo. Okay, those are very fibrous crops. They can actually handle acidic conditions better than your broadleafs can.
Okay.
So this is not quote unquote a pH problem.
Okay.
Okay, I get to how good or how available is our calcium, period. So our base sats, we're below 10%. So is calcium going to help? 100%, but is that the root cause of what's going on? I see something slightly different.
Okay.
And it really happens in that magnesium.
Okay.
Okay, so we go to base sats of magnesium. There's a straight line here of problem area, and it goes a 19.2, 19.3, 17.6, and 15.2. Okay, the CEC of the soils are in the 20s. So since we have a higher CEC, some of the issue that we get here is the overabundance of magnesium. Number one, makes your nitrogen efficiency go down. So you actually have to apply more nitrogen per bushel to get that same yield.
Yeah.
Now, am I saying there's a point of economic return, and then there's a point of
Right.
it is what it is.
Sure.
Right? So I believe, don't quote me on this, but once you get above 15 on corn, so if your mag levels are at 12%, okay, on a heavy soil, you can do less than a pound a bushel.
Sure.
And of course, there's a lot
There's
of ways
obviously
there's a lot of
variance.
other things going on, but the moment that you get to 15%, 7 or to 17s, there's a chance that you need 1.3, 1.4 in those areas.
Sure.
Because your mag's fighting.
Yeah.
Fighting for you there.
Yeah.
So I look at that base at 19, it also tells me that soil's really tight.
Okay.
Okay, so if that soil's really tight, it's lacking oxygen. And bacteria, or at least aerobic bacteria, need oxygen.
Yeah.
So we're sitting here. Calcium will help with getting oxygen in there. Magnesium and calcium kind of work against each other. Calcium makes it more fluffy. Magnesium makes it tighter.
Sure.
So can you do calcium 100%? I just get to the point of if you're raising wheat and Milo, I think you could do lime, but I'm not sure that it's going to solve all your issues here.
Okay.
I would say probably tone down the lime. And it matters how big this field is. But I would say be more efficient with your nitrogen.
Okay.
Split apply that nitrogen, because that plant, definitely if you're front loading this,
It's used it all up.
well, and it's just not, it's tied up. It's
Yeah.
not there, so I get to a point that a little bit of foliar feeding nitrogen, and actually because your magnesium levels are too high, you need mag.
Okay.
So you can foliar feed magnesium. I wouldn't
So
add
mag
more.
too high means you're not getting mag?
It could be tough to get it into the plant.
Okay, that's I get it, but you would think that an excess of something laying around would not be hard to get. Why is it hard to get if there's so much of it?
Magnesium is strong.
Okay.
It's going to tie up. It's going to be in place.
Got it.
That's why you need to have calcium to help
break that up.
Break that up. Also, you have oxygen. The more oxygen, the more biology. The more biology, the more it can break apart the magnesium. So the plant's not doing it by itself. It has a team bringing the mag in.
Got it.
So pretty much if you have high mag soils, you have the plant trying to do everything by itself to a point.
Okay.
Because it doesn't have the environment to have that team working for it is not there to support it.
Sure.
So like he talks about, he's not getting a seed head. I mean, he's having a chlorophyll problem. I would focus on nitrogen on that field. You could actually use nitrate on that little strip. Now, are you going to make a recommendation for a strip? Probably not, right? But with that being said, like what's the best thing here is I think splitting applied nitrogen on that corner of the field, I think you'd see humongous benefits from.
Yeah.
You know, and you could go to a melted urea. People could do fish hydrolysase. You know, your amino acid based nitrogen sources would be the most efficient for the plant. And then I would add a little sugar just so you can get that thing cooking, you know, biology cooking, the plant's feeling better, get the bricks level up, so on and so forth.
Sure.
So in that situation where I see, quote unquote, his biggest problem is where his mag levels are at, I'm not going to lie that calcium is going to help. I just don't know if the economic return's there.
Yeah.
To put that much lime, because I'm a huge proponent. I would rather see no more than 2 tons of lime and see how it reacts.
Right. Do you think pelt lime would be a good application?
If you want a Band-Aid.
Really? So would it be a good way to test if it's going to work?
100%.
Okay.
And what you could do there, just to see if it really is
hit
calcium.
pause real quick. What's up, guys? Josh here. Ben's on the other side. Just wanted to drop in and say, check out our newsletter. We have someone different write it every quarter, and someone who really brings a lot of value in regards to knowledge and management on the farm. You can find it.
Check out the link in the description below, and it will take you to it on the website.
Send it to your dads who still read on the Kindle Fire. They'll love it.
Like mine.
Yeah, same. I got that from my dad. Check it out. And we're back.
We're back.
Sorry for that. Had somebody stop by. I had to say, just tell them something real quick. Okay.
Pell lime.
Pell lime.
Yeah.
It would just be a Band-Aid, but would it be a way to test whether calcium is going to really move the needle much before applying a bunch of lime? Or
Yeah, and I think what a person could do in this situation is, you know, take that recommendation, and what I like to do with Pell lime is I divide it by 10. So if you need 4 tons, okay, that's 8,000 pounds divided by 10. You're looking at 800 pounds.
Okay.
Not going to lie, I'm still a believer of no more than 2 tons, personally. I'd rather see how the soil reacts to it.
Sure.
In this situation, you know, try to prove that theory. You know, if he wants to maybe do a variable rate of that Pell lime on that section, do some areas where it is, you know, 500, 600.
Sure.
You know, see if we're getting a bang for our buck. But then do the rest of it at 200. You know, it's going to be more cost effective, and you're going to see if that calcium by itself is going to solve the problem.
Before we spend a bunch of money on other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're doing that, you got to be taking notes, because I'd still be a firm believer of making sure you get split applied nitrogen, making sure you're getting some mag.
Split applied nitrogen is probably going to be the main thing that's going to affect them the quickest.
Yes.
Do you think? Okay.
I think so.
That's human. That we as a farmer can influence.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I'm not going to disagree with, you know, where his pH with his buffer pH, I mean, heavier soil, yeah, it could be calling for a lot of lime. I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. But if you're raising your fibrous root crops, and that's kind of the rotation there, let's just try to get that pH maybe above 6, 6.2. Definitely if it's going to cost an arm and a leg to do so.
Yeah.
But Pell lime's a great way to say, is this going to work? Another thing a person could do is use sulfur to help try to bring down some of that mag. If you try to correct this all in 1 year, though, you're going to break the bank.
Yeah.
It's just the honest truth.
Okay, that's a great point there. The sulfur lowers pH, though, right?
Yes, but if you're adding calcium, it's that's why gypsum.
So
gypsum.
Okay.
It's not going to influence pH very much.
Really?
Yeah.
How
It
much?
actually maybe slightly, what I've seen in the field is it actually makes it slightly higher.
Because there's a
of the
lot of calcium. Okay.
Yeah. And
You think gypsum's like a vast underused product in agriculture?
it's just so spotty. It just matters, who can get it for a good price.
Got
is,
it.
is how I see gypsum. With that being said, I think there needs to be an understanding with gypsum, and this is getting really deep into soil tests, but if your base saturation is not above 60 and you're utilizing gypsum,
Base saturated calcium.
thank you.
Okay.
Base saturation calcium is not above 60.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Application of gyp to try to correct something, we have no idea how it's going to respond or what it's going to take away.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you're going into lands unknown.
Well, and it's just that you're not sure what the chemistry is going to do there.
Got it.
But once you get enough calcium in the situation, or within the soil, so you're above your 60,
Yeah.
then you can start utilizing gypsum to help correct stuff, per se. So I think that's where we just got to remember as farmers, as agronomists, that gypsum's a great tool in the toolbox when it's used correctly.
Yeah.
If you have a screw and you just go take a hammer to it, will it get the job done?
You can drive it
yeah,
in.
Yeah, but
Is it optimal?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's one thing I look at. So once you get those base saturations, like in his situation with his soils being heavier, I'd actually like to try to get those levels someday to 70%
On the calcium
on
side.
the calcium.
Okay.
There's just such a variety. Make sure you get a test of that calcium to make sure there's not mag inside of it because that's
so
what you don't need.
Order of operation.
Okay.
What should this guy do?
I really like the idea of testing with pellet lime. What I would do is I would do a quote unquote base rate of 200 to 250 per acre.
Okay.
But on certain areas, crank it up to double.
Okay.
'Cause if
500-600 pounds.
Yeah, because if you see a response, then it's pretty clear cut.
Then it is a calcium.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But take notes before you quote unquote split apply here,
Yeah.
because if you split apply and not really paying attention, maybe it's just the split application,
Right.
creating more root exudation, which in turn is
When you say split application of nitrogen.
correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So test some pellet lime before we make a big move towards 4 tons, 6 tons of lime or whatever
Yep.
it was,
Yep.
semi-load on
Yep.
that little spot, and split apply nitrogen.
Yep.
That's first test.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now one thing if he's like,
Or first steps for moving the needle.
yeah. Well, and I even
Would
get
carbon help him in this situation?
I'm a proponent. Carbon helps in a lot of situations.
Would it help hold his nitrogen better?
Well, yes, it would help hold this nitrogen, so it's tying up to the carbon. Another thing that I think about carbon is carbon and calcium help make the soil breathe.
Porous.
Yeah, porous more.
Okay.
So it will help in that situation to help bring some oxygen into the system, and you're also bringing a food source, so then you have that team working for you.
Boosted
Yeah,
biology.
but if it's one of those things...
That's going to break down your high mags.
Yes,
Got
over
it.
time. The one thing that gets quote unquote, I don't want to say scary, it's just the nature of the beast, is if you go here and just say you've been working on trying to drop this mag level and it just never drops, that tells you got to farm around it.
Really?
Because the parent material
Got it.
has mag in it and it just keeps reappearing. Because like we see this test and we're like, wow, that is our soil. It's not everything in that soil.
Right.
It's strictly what's on the colloid of that soil.
Sure.
So if we break apart the mag and we're flushing it out and mag just keeps reappearing, it's because of the parent
That's
material.
the parent material.
Yeah. Or part of the parent material.
How do we talk about the structure of soil then? The parent material of dirt. I thought it was just dirt.
What?
Yeah. Isn't that what it is? That's what we're told it is.
Well,
Dirt's dirt.
yep.
Yep. Okay. NBKs. Here's your bill.
But yeah, no, I think that's a great way to see if that theory's there. Now, if he says, you know what, I still want to go the lime route, what I would do is start at
Don't have high mag lime.
Yeah, make sure you don't have that. Have, like I said, 2 tons and maybe just change the pH goal of like where you're trying to achieve.
Okay.
Because I'm not gonna lie, if you're trying to get to 7s, it's gonna cost you.
Yeah.
Like this situation where you're dealing with Milo, you're dealing with wheat. I'm not saying that highest yields, but economic return.
Yeah.
Bring that 6.2, 6.3.
Sure.
Get it going in the right direction.
You can raise really good crops in 6.2.
Oh, yes, you
Really
can.
good crops.
Yes.
I'd rather have 6.2 than like 7.2.
Yep.
At least in my soils.
Yep.
I see a 6.2, I'm like, ooh, okay, that's all right. Because our buffers generally go jump into the low 7s.
Gotcha. Yep.
So,
Well,
anyway.
we just got to remember what Mother Nature does. I mean, how much it can
yeah.
change everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why it'd be interesting to see when you have that wheat crop.
yeah.
Just pull a Haney when you're doing your green up pass,
Yeah.
just to see
Send
where
a
it's at.
Haney into that spot and from that spot. Absolutely.
And then do it to a spot that's been just yielding crazy.
Sure.
That spot of the field that should never yield good, but always yields good.
Always does good.
You know, so just see what is releasing.
Sure.
Because it'd be very interesting to see in that situation, or like when it starts tuckering out or starts getting pale yellow.
Yep.
You know,
May. Yep.
Just stick a
That's
probe.
when I learned the most about that with that weed over there. Was I pulled a Haney from the spot that never does very good. I pulled 3 Haneys from the various spots in the field at various points in the growing season. The spot in the field never does very good. The spot in the field that always just cranks pretty good yield, and then the spot that just, dude, the clean grain elevator can't keep up. It's just in the bin, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's cool. We don't pay attention enough to the ground that just does pretty good all the time.
Yep.
We overlook it, man. We're always thinking about we want to avoid the poor ground. It's like, I hate cutting that area of the field. And we're always thinking about the great area of the field that just cranks every year. And we just forget. It's like that, it's kind of like the silent guy in the room is the deadliest guy in the room.
Yeah.
You know? And anyway, which Ben actually said about you when he first met you, because he goes, you meet Johnny, and you know, I enjoy having conversation, this and that, and then like you crack open the can on what Johnny really enjoys about, and it's like, whoa, dude, I'm not kidding. We got in the car to go home from Nebraska, and Ben's like, we got to work with that dude. That dude's on it. Anyway, so. That's high praise.
Yeah.
That's high praise. Yeah. You'll never hear it from him. Hey, you might. He'll surprise you.
Yeah.
He'll surprise you. But he's like, man, we need to get on with that because we got a lot to learn. And obviously we do. So anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Game on. What form of nitrogen would best benefit this guy?
What I would, and this is where I cringe by saying this, is it depends. I hate that answer.
Sure.
But on the same token, what I would say in this situation was what is your basic program? Mm-hmm. Give me a ring, and let's have a conversation about where those percentages are at and how we can fine tune it, because you're talking about 4 data points over 36, if not 40 data points here.
Yeah.
1/10 of the field. Are we going to change our nitrogen program for 1/10 of the field when we got the far extreme on the majority of the acres?
Right. Exactly.
No.
Right.
So if it's one of those things that, you know, he has his own sprayer,
sure.
Then if he's willing, if he can logistically do it too, you know, logistics trump agronomics every day of the week. It's just the honest
We're
truth.
going to drive 40 miles to spot treat, that corner.
Yeah. So I just sit there and say, if it's able to be done, you could do experiments there. Or if you're doing Pell Lime on those sections, if you're doing it during green up, throw some urea.
Okay.
Or throw AMS, you know, stuff like that. AMS I'd be a little more cautious about just because of how low the pHs are.
Okay.
Urea shouldn't change it too much. Even
UAN?
32, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
that's what I do with I stream all my wheat now with humic.
Yes.
So.
Well, and we're talking like specifically in nitrogen applications, carbon.
Yeah.
Carbon.
So.
That's
where we're going to caveat in the next podcast, because we have been inundated with talk about carbon and nitrogen, carbon to nitrogen ratios, carbon and nitrogen and carbon in soils. And because we've talked a lot about it, but man, it's so good to have a refresher and added knowledge from experience brought to the table. So that's already one podcast. Yeah. I'm fired up. This is great. I learned so much. I'm like, okay, sweet. I enjoy the podcasts where I sit here and all I do is just try to steer a conversation, and I'm sitting here going like, I can't wait to listen to this podcast because I'm going to learn so much from Johnny. So anyway, okay, cool.
One question answered.
One? Yeah, one. Down. Sweet. I hope you got a lot of cards, Kirk. Anyway, okay, that's great. Appreciate you guys. We're on all YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Anything else Aaron's going to want me to say? Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Man, they've been blowing it up on TikTok.
I'm all about the TikTok.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so, it's we got some really fun stuff coming. Some projects we're working on. More podcasts. We're going to jump to carbon and nitrogen next. How can we improve our management? How does carbon play a key in soils, and how do soils respond to all of that? So everything's about a balance and being profitable on the farm.
Number one, get
Game
profitable.
on. If we can't be profitable, we can't influence long term.
Amen.
So rock on. Over and out. Guys, thanks for watching the content so far. If you would like to see more, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got all the full-length podcasts, other video information, tutorials on there. Also on all the major podcast platforms and social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc. So if you like this, go ahead and check more out on all those platforms.